have you ever had a violent era, like physical? Like, did you ever? Because I mean, that is common among.
I think violence is important and to create a good society of people that know why not to be violent.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So like when I thought about my upbringing and the abusive upbringing, and I was like, man, he was just taking out all that guilt on my freaking ass in my face. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's really what it was. It was just like a lot of self-hate, you know, in there. But I do believe violence is necessary in a way of, if you know that you're capable of violence, then I think it actually makes you a sweeter person in a way. It was January 23rd. I'll never forget. 1, 2, 3. Boom, 6 o'clock in the morning, right through my front door.
No way.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, the hardcore way, because they don't really know like what you're what you're capable of and stuff.
Do you hang on to any like, I don't want to say bitterness, because how you just described how you feel about your dad is very much how I feel about like that extended family. Because when I got locked up, same thing. Yeah. All my friends. Everybody.
Just when you need them the most.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, all my family.
Wild.
Dude, I never got a single letter from anybody other than my mom, my dad. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on. Guys, welcome back to the Good Omen podcast. It is my hope and it is my prayer that you really enjoy today's conversation, that you get something out of it. Maybe you leave feeling inspired or I don't even know, hopeful. I think hopeful is a good thing to take away from this podcast. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to leave a rating for the show. I don't actually know what it does, but I hear all the other guys, you know, they ask for it. So I'm sure it does something for the algorithm. It helps us get these conversations out to more people. And plus, I never ask you guys for anything. So it takes you 2 seconds. Just take 2 seconds, leave a rating for the show. And, you know, let's just consider that the little value exchange, right? You get a good conversation and I get a 5-star rating. And then if you're on YouTube, please click subscribe. I don't think I know for sure, actually, it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to the show. So just do us that favor. Jack invests a lot of time, energy, and effort into putting these YouTube videos up. So we appreciate it. But this is my friend Marty, part of our Omen community here, part of our men's group community here. And he's got an incredible story. So I'm excited to get into it. But first, how was I think I asked you about London and you told me like briefly.
I was in the middle of all that Delta stuff. So we didn't go.
No way.
No, we didn't go. We were.
Oh yeah, you took a vacation instead.
Yeah, we went out to California instead. We had nowhere to go. We couldn't even get a domestic flight to lay over somewhere to even take a flight to like London.
Got it.
So the triathlon was nixed.
So you trained for how long for that?
Well, I mean, I did triathlons for the past like 3 years. So this was going to be my last one for a while. So it was nice to cap it off in London.
Yeah.
But didn't work out.
It's
all right.
That's cool.
I'm just like, we had to rent a car. We were up in Detroit. We had to rent a car, drive all the way back to St. Louis.
No way.
Couldn't even get a flight.
From Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
crazy.
Trash.
Was
crazy. It you and all the kids and your
No, my God, no. It was my wife and I and a big bike box.
Got it.
And our thing. So we had to get, no, I mean, that was...
Okay, so tell me about your endurance training. Like, first of all, how'd you get into it? And I want to hear like now your journey.
So,
because you know I'm a runner, I'm a track star.
Yeah, this is actually kind of I wouldn't call it an interesting story, but like it started like when I started Vodaland. I gave my body to my business for like 6 years, and I got big, or at least not that big, but bigger than I carry it well, bigger than I wanted to be. So my business partner and his son were doing tries for the better part of like 4 years up into that.
Got it.
And they're obsessive with it. And so I went down to Cozumel. We were doing this was during COVID. And they live in Spain. My business partners live in Spain, and I'm in St. Louis. And I couldn't go to Spain because of COVID. They couldn't come to St. Louis, so we're like, okay, we're going to meet down in Mexico.
Yeah.
So we both flew down to Mexico, and during that time, there was an Ironman there, and they both were doing that full Ironman.
Oh wow!
So the only reason I got the bug was because I saw it.
Yeah.
So I was down there. I don't know if you've ever been to an Ironman,
Mhm.
especially one that's like in a different country, because they do it okay here in the United States, but Mexico,
It's a big
Europe,
deal.
it's a huge deal. The streets are lined up with people. They're playing drums. They're pumping everybody up. Like
Yeah.
it's like chills. I get chills just like thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I talked to my partner. I was like, hey, I'm going to do this 1 year. I said, 1 year, I'm going to do this full Ironman. He goes, hey, do a half marathon first.
Yeah.
Like I was like, no, man, I'm going to come back to Cozumel and do
This Ironman.
do this Ironman. I'm like, he's like, just start with a half marathon. So about 10 months later, I do a half marathon.
10 months?
Yeah, because I mean, I went couch to half marathon.
Yeah.
You know, I remember getting home to my wife and I was like, hey, listen, 4 miles nonstop today. Like I was like fist pump. Like she'll like remember that, and I would get so excited, you know.
Yeah.
And then once you do a half marathon, you're like, all right, perfect. I'm there. I can run for hours and hours now. You kind of get to that. Then I get on the bike and I'm like, okay, this is different. You know, this isn't from. Then you get in that water and you're just like, all right, I don't know if I'm gonna. I remember I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna plug it because it was a terrible experience. I went to this place. They have like infinity pools to do swimming lessons. Yeah. So you do swimming lessons there and you just get in the pool and swim. And it was ran by like 2 college kids in there. And I'm like drowning. I couldn't even swim. I'm not even joking. I had to like grab onto the edge. I'm like drowning. I couldn't even swim. And they're like, here, grab this floaty. And I'm like, this is not the experience I want. So I did some research, and Jennifer Meyer was a coach for a very long time here in St. Louis. And she's won nationals in the age group. She's been doing it for a long time. And I found her and she taught me how to swim it took me a year in the water to get ready for a try. Yeah. Because I couldn't even do the 25 meters like the right way. So I can get in there and get all kid-like.
You can make it. Yeah.
But when you get gassed and then you go from 25 meters to 200 to 400 to 1500 to a mile. And then that takes a long, long, long time. It takes a long, long time.
The swim is the most daunting thing. People don't even realize.
No. So then I failed at my first triathlon was actually going to be in Galveston, Texas. Yeah. And it was I trained and it was going to be a half Ironman. Yeah. I was like, my first triathlon is going to be a half Ironman. So I get down to Galveston. And I got this Airbnb that was right on the water because I never open water swim. Yeah. So my coach was right.
Up until then, you never.
No.
Oh, that's a mistake.
We're about to get to that. So I never. So I get this Airbnb that's like right next to the water because the Galveston's half is in April. Yeah. So where am I going to swim in the winter in Missouri in open water? Yeah. You know. So I was like, listen, I've done the distance in the pool like 100 times. So my trainer was right not telling me anything.
Not the same.
So I go out there my first day and out in the open water. I can't. It's a different sport.
It's a totally different sport.
Like, you can't see anything.
That's like road running versus trail running.
It's 15 degrees colder.
Yeah.
You can't see anything. You go into shock because as soon as you jump in the cold water, your heart rate goes way up, which means you start running out of breath and then you start panicking. Yeah. That's how people drown in these. Like they panic.
Somebody just did actually. Did you see that?
Yeah.
CrossFit Games?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those things, it's like I always kind of wonder like what was their pregame intake, like where their heart was at.
I know.
But it can be anything. Someone can just like rabbit hit
caffeine.
You. Yeah. Somebody can rabbit hit you in the water. It really can be anything. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
So I go out there in open water and I have a full-on panic attack.
Really?
So my wife and my father-in-law were going to come up there and support me. And I call and I was like, babe, I don't know if I can do this. She's like, no, you've done this. And I was like, listen, you need to understand, like there might be a problem here. And so I talked to so I started like going out there and trying to work up, and I was doing like 300 meters and all this stuff. And Tamara was just like, my wife was like, listen, just like, if you're going to be like this now, it's going to be 10 times worse when you get in there. And keep in mind at this point, I've never even swam next to anybody.
Yeah.
So I backed out. And man, that was a bad situation.
Yeah.
That was a really bad situation. And because for a year I trained for that.
Yeah.
So then when I fail at something, I get pissed.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I get pissed, that's usually when I'm like uber focused.
Yeah.
And so I failed at that. I freaked out. I failed at that. I'm pretty honest. Like when I tell someone like, I went down there, freaked the hell out. There's no way in hell. So then I did a couple of local Olympics, and then my first this is like full circle for sure. My first half marathon was actually in New York last September, and that was during a tropical storm.
Wow.
So a tropical storm came in there and dropped down to like 60 degrees, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and people were going. I went right through it like butter though.
Really?
Because I was still pissed.
Ah.
Yeah, because I
You're
was
like,
still
I don't
pissed.
care about none of
No,
this.
because
Yeah.
like I felt that Galveston failure for that entire 2023 year.
Yeah.
And so when that came up, that didn't matter.
Yeah.
I saw like it didn't
saw
matter.
blood.
Didn't matter at all.
I'm coming.
Yeah, it didn't matter
Wait, so
at
that
all.
was a try or a half?
No, it was a half Ironman.
Half Ironman. Got it.
Yeah, and so the water was cold. The wakes were about like 3 feet.
Yeah.
People were screaming. I was just pushing people out of the way in the water.
No way.
No, nothing was going to stop me. The scariest part is on the bike though, because I run with a full disc.
Yeah.
And so on the disc on the back is basically like a sail. So when you got 40-mile-an-hour winds,
That's
like
rough.
you're leaning into it.
Oh yeah.
And so there's an art to it. And then the run, like you just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy.
But
Well,
no, yeah, I mean
so you're done.
I have moved on to my next goal right now, which is a little bit now it's bodybuilding in a year.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Man,
about 2 weeks into it. So
that's a fun. I mean, it's all right. Just be my perspective on that sport. I just don't. The only thing I don't love about it is I think, for me, like anything that's fitness, health, fitness industry related, should sort of fundamentally promote health.
Mhm.
And like in order to reach the highest echelon of that sport,
Mhm.
it is very unhealthy. Like
Yeah.
you're jacking up your hormones,
Yep.
you're having a very unhealthy relationship with food. Like it's just
Yep.
like you have to get into this area that
So
is
there's
just,
2 divisions now. There's one that is like that, which is like I'm going to knock 10 years off your life.
yeah.
Okay. But then now there's like this all natural one.
All natural's great. Yeah, if you're doing all
I'm
natural,
doing that. I'm not doing this thing where it's like, listen.
but the
I'm not-
diet is
yeah.
even still, even the diet,
Yeah.
because there's, I was a nutrition coach for so long, and
Mhm.
and there's these people who just kind of recreationally say, oh yeah, I want to do a show, and and they get these terrible coaches, which I know you won't because you're not that kind of person, but they'll just hire any old person as their coach, and they walk them into an eating disorder, and it's just like, come on. And then I'm the coach they come to afterwards, and I gotta reverse engineer all this trauma.
For sure. I mean,
but the process of that is very rewarding. It's very fruitful. Like the discipline it takes, like you're going to be doing a lot of cardio. Like you're going to do cardio, then a workout. It's going to be basically like 75 hard for like freaking 180
right. So I'm
days.
sticking with the running.
Mhm.
I'm sticking with the running because I do enjoy that. I would say that maybe I should iron it out and say my mentality is that I'm doing a show in a year.
Got it.
I just want to be in the best physical shape, like all throughout my 40s into my 50s. And I don't think you could really do that without having a goal. So like when I set any type of physical or business goal for myself, I have to set that goal. I have to like sign up for that race
Mhm.
or sign up for that show
Mhm.
or commit to something.
And that's what I'm doing.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because if you're just like, hey, man, listen,
I'm just trying to be fit.
Are those Monday people? Like
Yeah.
starting Monday.
Yeah.
Nah. You know what I mean? Like starting Monday, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I can't, that's nails on a chalkboard. It's like now, how about now?
Yeah. How about today?
Who made Monday the cure-all?
I know.
Then come Tuesday, you get on the phone and call up, emos, a cardboard,
I know.
That's
a toxic mentality.
Yeah. It's just, there is never anybody that's said, like, asked the question, hey, how did you get into, bodybuilding? Well, there was this Monday that I started. This one Monday I started.
I just decided.
It's
on Friday I was thinking about it, and I said on Monday I'm gonna.
That's not how it starts. It starts as I set a goal.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. There's nothing better in the world, like physically, than accomplishing.
Oh yeah.
Like there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
And then it's addictive.
I know.
Then it's addictive.
That's why I'm walking into this. I got an ultra in like 30 days.
That's a different level, man.
130.
I'd poop myself.
130. Yeah.
I would. I would poop myself on an ultra for sure.
Honestly, I'm sure it happens.
I'm
sure it happens.
I think once you hit like 45, you're gonna poop yourself.
You lose control of your bowels. That's
yeah. You're gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm about 30 days out from that, and yeah, I want to do 130 miles
Where's that at?
in 24 hours. Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's 4
Oh,
hours from
very
here.
cool. I saw my wife has a good friend, Max, in Chicago that just did a really cool ultra where it was like primarily desert. It was 100K though. It wasn't like, but the one that he's looking at, and I was thinking about, there's like a Golden State one that's like all coastal in California.
Is it called the Western States?
Yes, the Western State ones.
So I believe that's one you have to qualify for.
Yeah, but he did.
He qualified.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, let me finish this goal first.
Dog, if you ever want to get in the water.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'd have to chain myself to you on that one. That would be rough.
We could do it though. I mean, because the thing I love about ultras, and you know, people never hear me out on this, but like they're like, no, still no. But is that it's truly not a race against anybody else. Like, I don't know, maybe the elites, but like if you finish 100-miler, that was the goal. It was just to finish it. Like, it's 100 miles. Like when you're out there, so like I say that to say I would totally do it with a friend, because like I'm not trying to be competitive. Like I'm out here for me. Like I'm out here just to get this done. The
mental part of that is just
1,000%. That's all it is. I tell everybody, like, there is no preparation, physical preparation for miles 50 plus. Like if you want to run a 50-miler, then you could train for that. Like you can train for up to 50. But after 50 miles, everybody feels the same. Like we're all broken. Like it's just after that, it's 100% mental. Like the last year when I did my first 100 miles, I guess, every time from like 50 plus, for real, like, because my body broke down around like 40 miles in, and then every time I would see somebody limp, I would audibly say to myself, I would out loud say to myself, that's a kink in their armor. No kinks in your armor. You're strong, you're steady, you're fresh. And the only thing I paid attention to, and I did that with no music, like I had no podcast, the only thing I was paying attention to was my form. And I knew that if my form started breaking down, that I would start breaking down. So I was just like, no, you're strong, you're steady, you're fresh. It was 1,000% mental. I must have said that to myself once every lap for the rest of the miles, because I just had to keep reminding myself. But yeah, I tell everybody that there's no physical prep. Like you could train all you want, but 50 plus is going to feel like 50 plus.
I mean, the thing is when you start to like even fulls, like full Ironmans,
dude, it's a 10, 12-hour day.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
for a trained athlete.
Yeah.
You know,
if you're good,
you get those guys that go out there and be like, you know, I heard there's an Ironman in on Saturday. I think I'm going to give that a shot. You see those guys out there.
I know.
And they'd have no idea what
they look bad.
They don't do it again. you know, like you don't see those guys twice.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you don't go into ultras and tries if you're not doing it for yourself.
Yeah. You don't
do that.
You don't.
Or for someone else that like you see like these like, man, I don't know. They'll pull like people that do like it's almost like a tandem Ironman where they have someone who's like disabled and they like pull them in the water.
Yep.
They pull them on the bike and then they push them in the run. That's another level.
That's insane.
Like people don't realize like that's the real.
But that's so cool. Though.
It's so like every second they're getting applauded. Every second.
That's so cool.
It's really crazy.
I'm not gonna lie. Even just thinking about that.
When I was in Cozumel, the original story, I'm sitting here watching these guys that can't see because they'll be tied up to somebody else.
Yeah.
Or they have no use of their lower body and they're out here doing the Ironmans. I'm sitting here eating pancakes, watching them. I'm like, what kind of piece of crap am I, you know, to like sit. I mean, really, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like taking off years of my life watching this. I'm such a schmuck.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, me and Woody are going to be out at Bowling Green in case you want to come out and just spectate.
I mean,
I could use some crew.
On an ultra?
Yeah, so I got the format of the race, it's a 24 hour, so 8 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay.
Last year, Woody and a couple other guys, Nate and Fregosa, they drove out there. They left at midnight, got there at 4 a.m. and they were my crew for the last 4 hours. Which
didn't you like almost win that damn thing?
I did win it.
God.
What do you mean? I did win it.
Yeah.
Almost. I'm going. The only reason I'm going this year is to defend my title. Yeah, for real.
I would have just left that one hanging.
But yeah. So we have actually a whole crew from Omen in the run club, and Woody's running in it.
He's doing that thing.
Tim's running in it.
They doing a relay?
No, they're running it. They're running it.
Woods doing the ultra.
I think he's doing the 12-hour. There's a 12-hour option, so he's gonna go 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it's just
I gotta see this.
Ah!
What's the date on this?
September 21st. It's the third Saturday.
I hope I'm not. I might be gone.
Yeah.
I really, 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 really hope I'm not.
Yeah. That'd be great if you could come out.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports growing up?
Oh yeah.
Where'd you play?
So I played basketball, football, and baseball was my big thing.
Baseball was the one.
Yeah. I mean, I had a really and we could dive into it later. I had a very aggressive father that like shoved football down my throat so much for the fact that I just ended up hating it.
Really?
Yeah. Baseball was the exact opposite. I had to I was mowing lawns to pay for my own baseball lessons stuff. and I mean, of course my parents supported me on that, but that was my passion. So I did that all the way up through college, through farm league ball. Yeah. And then when I got done doing
so you were good.
I was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
So once I got done doing that stuff, I actually coached Little League for a while, very, very competitive Little League.
Really?
Yeah. When I got done playing Farm League, and I will never do it again. Man, the parents are the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Can't do it. Sorry if any of them end up watching this, but it's just terrible. I mean, especially when you're doing high competitive, right? And rightfully so. They pay a massive amount of money to pay to play. And I play the best. I was coaching teams to hopefully start positioning for the state's Little League team, right? Mm-hmm. So it's highly competitive.
Yeah, Little League World Series type stuff. Yeah.
So the way you have to be that team for Missouri is you have to win specific tournaments to do that. Mm-hmm. And one thing you can't do is play a kid.
You can't just play him just because he's on the team.
Just because he's got, it's his turn.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in competitive sports, nor the world.
Yeah.
So, I just well, if he wants to play, he's going to have to get better, and he has to show me during practice because I sure shit not going to put him in a game.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah.
It's crazy. It's mind-blowing to me that parents are getting behind this whole everybody gets it.
Yeah, that's why I can't coach my own kids. I'll kill them.
Yeah.
I
because you better win.
Yeah, because my thing is I will give them all the lessons they need in any sport that I can, but you're not going to get a red carpet through the world.
Yeah.
So I'll try to give you tryouts for the best teams in the area, but it's up to you to make it.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite parents when I was coaching. I had a couple of kids that parents were just okay, no, he's got to get better.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, I've never really tried to look a lot of them up, but I guarantee you those are the kids
are doing better.
Mm-hmm.
They're 100% doing better.
Doing that.
So do you watch pro ball at all?
Not as much since I have business. It's tough. I mean, it's either my family or my business.
Yeah. I've started to become friends with Ollie, who is the head coach of the Cardinals now, and I kind of put my foot in my mouth the other day. There was one of his friends showed up, and he's like, Mark, this is Kyle, and and we just got talking, and baseball came up, and I was I know who Ollie is and what he does, and so I was just like, I'm not much of a baseball guy. I think that's why Ollie likes it here, because we don't really know how the Cardinals are doing,
right.
And so then, I don't know, conversation turned, and I'm like, so Kyle, what do you do? And he's just like, I pitch. And I was like, my bad. I'm like, it is kind of fun.
I would have been like, for who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so awkward.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about your dad, though. Tell me about your dad, because you dropped that in there.
Okay, yeah. We'll cannonball into that. So, growing up, my dad was physical, very physical. Okay. Heart was in the right place. I believe so. Fists and were not. So when you go through something like that, it was the first time, like, I don't know if you know a lot of people that come from like abusive like upbringings. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They beat the respect out of you.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is, like, when you grow up and you go through trauma like that with one parent and almost polar opposite with the other.
Mhm.
My mom would never, she was the one like jump in front of the attacks type of thing. Right.
Yeah.
So when you grow up with that and you're dealing with it's almost in a way a good thing that happened without sending any respect his way.
Mhm.
It's a good thing that happened because it really taught me what not to do, in a sense of how do you earn respect
Yeah.
from your kids.
Yep.
Because what you definitely can't do is
Beat it
like
out of 'em.
fear is not the same thing as respect. And I believe that a lot of parents around that time, I mean, I would say it's a little too soft now, but I would say
I think that it was a lot more prevalent
yeah,
when you and I were kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, because I can relate a lot. My mom would grab anything in,
Yeah.
arm's reach and just beat me with, whether it was extension cord or
yeah. I got a hanger.
Yeah.
I think my mom got
The
a
wire hanger?
Yeah, a little. Oh, like the smaller the worse.
I
man.
know.
Yeah.
The thinner the worse. So,
Yeah.
but I think I do, to your point, think it was a lot more prevalent back then.
Yeah, it was. Well, just because nobody was as loud back then either, right? Like, kind of what happened at home back then kind of stayed there.
Stayed at home.
And so yeah, I grew up with that. Everything was very aggressive. Everything was always like overzealous, like with any type of reaction to anything I did wrong, and then almost like the polar opposite on anything I did good,
Mhm.
right? So it's like I sure as hell got reminded if I was like a bad kid, but when I was a good kid, it was just kind of like, yeah, it's cool,
Yeah.
So it was like it was an intense upbringing of confusion of like what kind of emotion I'm supposed to have
Yeah.
when you see like the old like devil angel thing, when you're
Mhm.
like doing that. So when all of that stuff like came to fruition during like another part of my life is like when I was going through those legal troubles
Mhm.
that I went through a long time ago, was the exact same time that my parents split up. And then I found out that my father, for the better part of my whole life, had off and on affairs when I was a child.
Really?
Yeah. So I didn't find any of that out until I was 28.
Wow.
So they shielded me from all of that.
So she knew the whole time.
Oh man, yeah. Well, here's the twist. Everybody knew. Both sides of the family. Like, nobody said anything to me for 28 years. Nothing. And then all of a sudden, cat's out the bag, and everybody's like, "Yeah, sit down. Let me tell you some stories." And I heard the craziest stories, like
What?
that when I was like 1, my dad just packed up and left. Of course I'm not going to remember,
Yeah.
that he just packed up and left. And it's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go move out here with so-and-so or something. Then came back and, my mom's got like the biggest heart you've ever seen in your life. She's almost too nice for her own good. And she
Yeah.
ended up with a guy that's basically the exact same person. So thank God.
Yeah.
And like, but it was like, I imagine thinking, someone and already don't respect them. And then you find this out.
Yeah.
And here's even more, like even his own, like, and siblings were like just biting at the bit to tell me everything that's happened my whole life that I had no idea about.
Yeah, man.
It was it's crazy. It's crazy.
Did you ever have you ever had a violent era, like physical? Like did you ever? Because I mean that is common among.
I think violence is important and to create a good society of people that know why not to be violent.
Yeah.
Right. So I think people who are violent really hate it. Okay. And
I think there's two categories of people. I think
then there's people
controlled violence, and then there's people who are violent because they're actually weak, like they're just lashing out.
Right. It's an insecurity is what I was getting at. It's the second one. It's just like more of like an insecurity. It's just like I hate who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I thought about my upbringing and the abusive upbringing, and I was like, man, he was just taking out all that guilt on my freaking ass and my face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it was. It was just like a lot of self-hate, in there. But I do believe violence is necessary in a way of, if you know that you're capable of violence, then I think it actually makes you a sweeter person in a way. I don't know.
But I'm curious, like as a teen, like for me, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I can't say that it was, the physical abuse, or I don't know what it was. I have a variety of childhood trauma, but I definitely, when I was like 12 to like 16, dude, I fought everybody. I would swing on people.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I definitely had a propensity for like physical violence for a little stint there. And it was just, I didn't think twice about it. It was just normal to me. I mean, I tried to fight everybody, my teachers, my police officer, like my parents. And I just felt like I don't know, maybe I'm imagining that maybe that version of me, you know, thought that that's just how people dealt with each other, you know?
I think it have a two-prong effect. Like one like that, like sure, during like middle school and high school, I would kind of go 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Okay, you know,
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
That's what
I would go 0 to 100.
Yeah.
But I think there is a side of that also you do that to protect yourself from what you already know.
Right?
Yeah. So if I felt threatened, I'm going to pounce first.
Yep.
And it was like around the age of like 14, 15 when, you know, my old man stopped laying hands on me because he's going to get hands back at that point, you know, where it's like, I've had enough, man. You know, like it's just not going to happen anymore. And like, it's really weird when I would hear like every once in a while, my mom wants to talk about it, you know, like those hard times. And she'll tell me stories that I do not remember.
And that you like probably can't even believe.
I mean, there were like choke outs, there were police calls, there was like, I'm like, how do I not remember this? Like, I don't, and
we suppress a lot of it.
Yeah. You know, I never believed in that until she would start telling me stuff that like, I didn't even remember. And, but yeah, you know, I mean, made it in a better part. It made me a good dad.
Yeah.
You know, if all I got to do with my kids is say that I'm disappointed in them, I got a 6-year-old now, a 4-year-old, and one's about to be 3, right? Yeah. And if I tell my 6-year-old, my 4-year-old that like I'm really upset, they lose their mind. That's respect.
Yeah. Okay? That's a lot of respect.
That's a lot of respect. If I just told them I'm disappointed in them or they really upset me, they can't stand it because like I'm their best friend. I hope that lasts. They're very young, but I think, you know, Jordan Peterson says that in a really good way where he says that, you know, for a very limited time, like your kids want to be your absolute best friend. So don't mess that up because if you don't take advantage of that when they're older, they're never going to remember you as that.
As the best friend.
As a best friend. So I teach lessons. I'm very stern, don't get me wrong. But they respect, you know, their mom and their dad.
Yeah.
And so if you keep that up, and then you can change that page when they're around 16 to 18 from father and mother to best friend.
To friend.
That is the perfect, you know, transition that every parent really should want because you got to stop teaching lessons and let them learn them. There's a complete different part
at a certain point, and you got to know when that point is. And I'm gonna be taking notes. We're trying.
Of course you are. It's been 6 days.
I know.
You know,
I hope she's pregnant already.
Listen, we were like 4 weeks out.
Really?
Like I don't know. She'll. My wife will tell you better than I would. But we got married in Ukraine. We went over there to get married. I was the mail order, if you will. Yeah. And I went over there.
That's funny.
To get married, and we came back. We got married. No, it was like 2-3 weeks.
3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Praise God, man. I really am excited for that. I'm trying not to like, you know, I'm just trying to like let whatever happens. But we're for sure hopeful.
Oh, you guys are young. You drink a lot of coffee. You're good to go.
Well, you know, I'm healthy as an ox.
Yeah.
She's young. I'm not. You know, I'm there.
It's so funny because my mother-in-law told us right after we got married. She's like, "Listen, you need to understand, we're extremely fertile."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." We had 3 kids in 4.5 years, man.
You need to understand this is going to happen.
You know, it's like they're like Irish twins, all of them. I mean, boom, boom, boom.
That's funny.
It's crazy.
So how'd you meet your wife?
So, all right. I can talk all day about my wife.
I know you. Yeah. And how long you been married?
We've been married 6 years this September.
Amazing.
Ooh, brownie points for that.
Yeah.
It's hard after, I could talk forever about my wife, but when I first came in contact with my wife, she was taken. She had a boyfriend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It took me better part of 5 months to get a date with her. It was like nothing. Okay. First off, side note to any listeners, my wife is extremely out of my league.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, well, thank you.
She's amazing, but you're amazing too.
She's very out of my league. And I love one thing that her dad always told her is that, listen, a man should be just a little bit better looking than a monkey, and everything else should come from like perspiration, desire, drive, who they are as a man, everything else like that, because you need to admire that person. That man that you're with needs to be a man, because as you and I both know, men are dying.
Yeah.
It's just okay. We can talk about that forever.
We can talk about that.
But they are. And so, but no, my wife is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It took me like 5 months to get a date with her. She wouldn't have to give me a time of day. But she lived in Chicago at the time. This is
But she's
like
from Ukraine.
She's from Ukraine. Her and her family came over here in 99.
Got it.
The whole USSR thing, and her father came over here, worked his butt off, and was able to bring his wife and daughter over here afterwards. And they got all their citizenship, everything, like back in the like 90s, 99, 2000 I think technically. Could be wrong about that. But and so her parents lived here in St. Louis, but she was up in Chicago. She actually went to SLU here and lived up in Chicago. And so anyway, I started dating her, and really, like, it was very difficult at first. She came from like a really tough situation that she was in with her current boyfriend. And she was emotionally vulnerable. I had to be really careful with that.
Yeah.
And really, to shorten that story is, like, she ended up moving back to St. Louis for me. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. And really the rest is history on that.
How long did you date before you proposed?
3 years.
Oh, 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah.
I would say 3.5 years.
And then you got married in Ukraine.
But then we went over to Ukraine to get married, because obviously she had all of her close family there. My mother came, and her boyfriend at the time came there.
How's Ukraine?
Dude, okay. Listen,
tell me some takeaways.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something about Ukraine. Is like, it is the most underrated. When the normal society think Ukraine, they think of like USSR buildings, people like homeless on the street. Like, it couldn't be more modernized and gorgeous. Like, you've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
It's like every restaurant is like a straight up 4 to 5 star restaurant in the United States.
No way.
Dead serious. And the beauty about it is, like, I used to have, before I started doing a lot more healthier stuff, I used to have a real sensitive stomach. Over there, they don't process anything. Everything's fresh. You go to the grocery store that day to make food that day.
Yeah.
The same with the restaurants. The restaurants there are amazing. The clubs, they go crazy. They have like men only banyas. Men are men in Ukraine. Like they're treated.
Men only what?
They go to banyas, which is, I'm sorry. I talk to people like, you should know what I'm talking about. So banya is like a men only spa.
Sounds kind of
no. It's like men,
it's
right?
Real
So
men.
I'm going to tell you about my first banya experience. Okay. So my first time in Ukraine was when I went to go get married.
Yeah.
So we flew over there, and my father-in-law and his brother Yura, we went over there, and they're like, we're going to take you to a banya. So basically what a banya is like, you're going to detox for like 6 hours.
Okay.
And you don't drink, you don't smoke anything. You're going to sit in like a 260 degree sauna, and they're just going to, the way I got told is like, they're just going to, like, they have these leaves, and they're just going to, kind of tap you like that and bring a lot of heat to you. So you go in the sauna, you put on like this little hat. It's like a felt hat. So that your brain doesn't cook. Yeah, so your brain doesn't cook. So you go in there, and man, there's like surface of the sun. And then you lay down, and this guy, Volechik, I think I'm saying his name right. He's like, okay, I'm going to make sure you have baby, So they take these, like, it's not birch, but there's like a certain tree. It's almost like oak leaves, and they fan all the heat around you. And Mark, I'm telling you, from the inside out, you're boiling. Yeah. Like, you are so hot. You think you're going to have a heat stroke, but it's like, it's crazy. So this guy starts beating the hell out of me. So he's like, boom, boom. They slap you with this, and it hurts. Yeah. It stings, and it's like getting all these detoxing you, right? And then he's like, okay, on your back. So you go on your back, and he puts it like over your face. Right. Then he starts hitting and going crazy on there. Then he's like, okay, on your side. So I'm like laying on my side. He lifts up my leg. You're buck ass naked, by the way. Lifts up my leg right in the nuts, like straight up in the nuts. And he's like, Opa! And he just like goes right in there. I look over, my father-in-law, they're laughing their ass off, because I'm new here. I'm going with whatever they tell me to go. So after you get done with that, you're boiling. You go jump in a 33 degree water. immediately afterwards. So once you go do that, you're like frozen, right?
Yeah.
And you like seize up, and then you get out there and you're like in euphoria, and they wrap you in this blanket.
I bet you felt like the best drug you ever.
It was the best. It was the best thing you ever had. And like then this guy goes to these mountains to get this tea that only grows in these mountains, and they give you this tea, and you're just sitting there, and man, I'm telling you, it was so awesome.
They sold the heck out of you.
Yeah, it was so great.
That's
man.
amazing.
It was so great.
Yeah.
So the Ukraine is amazing, and what's going on there right now is just, I mean,
What'd you tell me about the hospital though? You told me something about the hospital.
Well, we were talking about the war,
but you also told me something. You told me something about the
well, we were like
universal health care.
Yeah, if you want to see it.
Yeah. Tell me about
so
that.
People like I mean, we can get political a little bit here. People are like, oh, we need to have universal health care. We need to have this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've never seen it.
You've never seen universal
You've never seen it.
Yeah, but you've seen it.
I have seen it. And I'm telling you, that is the last thing that you want. You go in there, there's 6, 7 people to a room. Doesn't matter what kind of injury you have. Yeah. There's zero sanitation. That is in there because like there's no money going into these places to give you substantial health care, right? So you go in there, and I was like, and even my wife warned me, she's like, listen, you're about to see what universal health care looks like. That's and my father-in-law was saying the same thing. She's like, well, yeah, you just wait to see what this looks like. And I go in, I was in shock. I've never seen anything like it. Doesn't matter what you have. Doesn't matter what disease you have. Doesn't matter how many bones you have broken. You're in a room that's no bigger than this area of couches, and there's like bed. Nobody comes in there because there's like 3 doctors, right? Because they don't get paid the way these doctors do that really drive society to want to become one. Yeah. And so like people understand it's a top-down thing with Medicare.
I think it's really important to like share perspectives like that, especially on every public forum that you can, because there is this narrative, there is this current, this socialist communist current, cultural current in America where people think that they want things that they really
it's so easy to make a dream look good.
Have no idea.
I can paint you a pretty dream.
Redistribution of wealth and universal health care and whatever. What is that other one that people are gung ho about? Basic income. What is it? Universal basic income.
Man, it's just
you guys. What do you think they're going to pay you $150,000 a year?
So here's, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was thinking about like this capitalism versus socialism because back like they really made socialism look really nice. Yeah. So here's the difference in my mind, and you can give.
What are you talking about in Ukraine?
Just in general.
Okay, got it.
Just in general, like because I feel like the liberals of today like really believe in like equity and like all this stuff, but it's like there's an easy way that the Republicans will say, oh, it's free stuff for you. Well, it's not necessarily true. Yeah. In a lot of ways it is for people that need it, and then there's those that abuse the system that don't need it, like the baby makers that just have kids to get an extra $7,000 a month or things like that, right? But when you're looking at capitalism versus like liberals or socialism, you got to look at it like this. Okay, I believe that when you are trying to plant a seed of non-capitalist culture, it is removing that person's power and pride. And what I mean by that is, best way I could put it. Have you ever you remember the first car you ever bought?
Yeah.
Okay. You worked probably your butt off for that car. Did you take care of that car?
Of course.
Yeah, you took care of that car, right?
And it was a piece of crap. I treated it like it was a Rolls Royce. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Piece of crap, right? Yes. Okay. But you remember that first one, and you worked your butt off for that first car, right? Yeah. What if you got that car for free? Would you have the same mentality about it?
No, of course not.
Right. What if you get your house for free? You're going to keep it clean all the time because you go out 9 to 5 to do that. And I feel like that's what socialism takes away from people. Is like they're like, we don't care if you keep your pride and your hard work. We're gonna. That's what bothers me because I believe you get a lot of juice out of the squeeze, and if you want to appreciate life and appreciate the things you do, it takes a lot of hard work. Yeah, and that's what capitalism.
I think there's a inherent human sort of drive to. You could use the word contribute, to build something, to becoming like that is a human thing, And when they take in socialism or communism, where you're just born onto a conveyor belt, so to speak, it steals that spirit of life from you. Like, you're just existing. You're not actually living, becoming, building, evolving. There's no drive. There's no motivation to do it.
What's the reason to get up?
Why? Exactly.
And this is why, and I'm really not labeling here, but this is why the majority of them are complaining.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel that. It's not because of what they don't have. It's because of what they aren't.
They lack.
What they lack on the inside. I
know.
feel like when you give, like, listen, I have kids. I'm going to tell you one thing. When I just started doing, you do something around the house, you're going to get paid for it. Like, literally just for like a week.
Yeah.
There is a different way that my son is not dirtying up areas that he knows he has to clean later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But a year ago, it was human tornado going through there. I mean, is there a better visual to like really look at like how society is? Do you think it is completely, circumstantial that the places or anywhere where things are completely free are the most like trashed areas?
I know.
And we don't ask the right questions. Is like, maybe we need to provide, like, if we want to provide something for free, let's provide opportunities to become better instead of just like go here.
Yeah. Teach a man to fish versus give him a fish.
Absolutely.
What I think about a lot is like, if you look at and I heard this, I'm borrowing this from Elon Musk, like him or not. I mean, the guy's really intelligent, but he said on a Joe Rogan podcast, because he characterizes this socialist communist cultural current as the woke mind virus, and he says you can get infected with this virus, and a lot of times when people get infected with this virus, they're lost. Like, they're unsavable. And he said, he asked Joe Rogan, when's the last time you've been to Berkeley, California? And Joe was like, man, it's been a couple years. And he was like, Berkeley, California is one of the most progressive cities in America. And he said, the last time I went there, I stepped out of, I can't believe it was, I can't remember, maybe it was Twitter headquarters or something. And he's like, it's a zombie wasteland. Like, there's feces in the street. Like, it's
on people's doorsteps.
It's horrid. It's unimaginable to most people how bad it is there. And he said, what I can't understand is how people don't look at that and see, this is the fruit of the woke mind virus. Like, if you want to see what this ideology produces in real life, just go to Berkeley, California, or San Francisco, or he could name a few other, right? Portland, Oregon. Just go to these places and you'll see what the fruit of this ideology is. But people don't. Like, they buy it hook, line, and sinker. Like, oh yeah, this is a good idea.
Oh yeah, look at all these happy people that we're panning over to in this shot.
You
know what I mean? It's just like, if someone just
like standing over there with signs,
help us. Yeah. No, I mean, and that's the truth. It's like, when people talk about the election, I was watching, they were doing the broadcast, and I rarely watch CNN, but there was a guy on CNN that was like very going against the Democratic Party.
I saw
this. He was just like, does anybody really, I have family, that it's going through war. Democrats have been in charge 12 of the last 16 years.
I know.
I don't know about you, but I remember only like 4 years of peace.
Yep.
Okay. And if you want to talk about when the other European countries were attacked by Russia, it was during those 12.
Yep.
It wasn't during those 4.
I know.
And we want to talk, and they're trying to sit here and say that all of these problems are because of Trump. And, I don't care where people land, but don't sit here and point the fingers when you've been in charge of 75% of the last 16 years.
You've been in charge for 12 of the last 16 years.
Yeah.
The country's a mess. And the only peaceful time that we can remember was when Trump was in office. Like, what are you talking about?
And the people that want to argue that it wasn't peaceful was during the corrupt things that like rose at that time.
What do you think of
like when you're looking at Antifa? Whoa, they just disappeared. Isn't that funny how that happened?
I know.
Like,
I know.
Goodbye. Where'd they go? It's weird. You're looking at all of these like little movements that came out, and then they came back and partied, and they're just gone, and they're just quiet. No stories anymore,
dude. I honestly,
funny. And people are just like, oh, they really clean. They cleaned that all up. Wow, thank goodness.
Well, this is the thing. Now we have Like, dog, we can talk about this
Yeah,
all day.
all day.
But now we have Kamala Harris, who's a presidential candidate, saying, oh, if you elect me, I'll fix all the things that I've been in office for 3 years. I've been here for 3 years.
I'm fixing inflation day one, she said.
And I didn't fix any of that stuff. But if you elect me, I'll fix it. Like, how do people buy that? Like, it's so crazy. And then we were just at First Form had an open gym. So on the way out, we bumped into Andy and we're talking to him and oh,
that guy will go.
Bro.
Oh man, I can hear it all day.
20, bro. Yeah. He goes. But what came up was like the attempted assassination, and people will say that it was staged, right? And I'm like, somebody died. Like, what do you mean?
A couple of people.
Was it a couple people? Because I think one got critically injured.
Well, I mean, let's think about it logically. Okay, first off, do you think the shooter was just like, okay, I'll die today?
Well, not only that,
obviously, like,
not only that. Do you think that Trump sat in a meeting and was like, yeah, from 150 yards, just shoot my ear, don't shoot me in the head,
put my head in between these bushes, like, please, just like get that.
Talking about?
Yeah. Like, apparently, that moron was like the worst shooter ever. He tried out for something, and they were just like, no, listen.
I mean, he hit him in the ear. I mean, that's good enough. It's better than I would do.
And then injuries in the stands and all that.
But now you have Kamala Harris running, and Jack and I were just talking about this, and it was like, is anybody thinking to stop and ask, like, what's your track record? Like, that's a very simple question to ask. Like, what's your track record?
Oh,
like,
they did that. That was the funniest thing. I think Fox did it when they were just like, they went out to like all the supporters and like, tell us like why you're supporting Kamala. Yeah. Like, tell us please, like, what is her biggest accomplishment that you really support? You know, they were just like softballing, and they're like, she stood by Biden for 4 years. I'm like,
but that's not,
like, what did you say? What is the biggest accomplishment? She believes in dreams. And I'm like, this is crazy. We can't be this. I mean, how much junk did Monsanto really put in our food growing up that we've got?
Dude, I swear I saw a study today, and you guys don't know this about me because I don't talk about it much on the podcast, but I'm hyper paranoid about like food supply.
Yeah.
Like I'm hyper and you are too. We've talked about this.
Big time.
So I saw something today about a link between elevated like consuming more fluoride than is recommended and lower IQ in children.
Dude, you want to go down a rabbit hole, just start looking into folic acid.
Really? And that's in everything. Folic acid it's in everything. And so what's the folic acid thing? So, just give me a brief.
So basically, there is this. I'm gonna butcher this, but there's like this mutation, this MFTHR mutation. That's literally the acronym. And that every human has, and folic acid like sets it off. It sets it off in children for like ADHD. Sets it off in all this stuff. So they started spraying folic acid on our wheat and all this like back in the 80s, like hardcore, doing that. And if you can look at obesity changes, mental health issues, cancer, all this kind of stuff at the same time, like the charts are like almost like mirroring each other.
Really?
And so my wife and I, we get like German flour and
really?
And my mother-in-law does like the sourdough starter kick, do that. But just be careful where you get your like flour and stuff. You can get it on Amazon. You can get Italian flour on Amazon.
Got it.
They don't spray that stuff. So if you want to cook fresh with that, and then just take imported. A look. Yeah. If you want to really, like, don't get me wrong, folic acid has its place in like certain things, but when you're growing up, when you're ingesting it and you're trying to grow, there's a big thing. Like when we started going, I would say we're about 75% clean. You know, my wife and I, we really tried to do as much as like humanly possible. But you know, there's no mistake that you can get 3 Big Macs for less than a salad.
I know. You can get 3 of them.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so you really got to like, people need to like pay attention. Really. I mean, like it is a true abundance of dumbassity out there right now that people are just falling into. And this whole like, oh, not me mentality.
Well, you're aware of like the dyes and stuff.
Man, that's been a big thing over the last 5 or 6 years. I know. I mean, in the defense mode, I think 50% of them didn't know what they were doing at that time. You know, but now that they do, they need to pull it back.
Yeah.
They just have to.
I think we talked about this. I met a guy who's a lawyer who does like class action suits, and he sues companies like this. And he told me, like, there's companies that literally factor in the lawsuit before they launch a product. Because they know how detrimental it's going to be to the people who consume their product.
Look at that whole Roundup thing. You know, like all these people got cancer with all this Roundup stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll just
pay it.
We'll just pay it.
We'll just pay it."
That insurance company.
Oh my!
I mean, that's the thing. You know, you just have to be. You got to be. Just pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, it's not expensive.
The information is accessible.
It's there,
but nobody looks.
Nobody looks, and then people love to believe the bad and then believe in the good.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a big, and that's the thing is, like, you could sell, going back to like politics, you could sell the dream so easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Oh my God, this is finally we're going to do it. You want to believe in that. Right.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the bad, you do believe the bad.
Yeah.
And so people really need to draw the line of like reality.
Yeah. Just stay fixed in this middle point.
Just use your common sense. I mean,
yeah.
If once I say this all the time to whether it's employees or my family, it's like once you realize that everything is a business, things start becoming a little more clear.
So I wanted to actually go back though. So kind of talking about your upbringing.
Yeah.
When did the legal trouble? You mentioned that earlier. You said you got some legal troubles. When did the legal troubles happen?
When
after you met your wife?
No. So this is kind of like okay, we'll talk like tragic.
Yeah.
So after the sports stuff, after all of that, I got into online sales. And I decided that it was a really stupid idea to start flipping things like online. I was in a really bad place. I'm not one of those that really like dive into like mental health. I believe in like weak minds. I think that is a mental issue, but like I believe you could snap out of it. I was incredibly weak. So I started
Man,
selling,
talk about a hot take. That's a hot take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I love that.
All right, sorry. We can get into that later if you want, but I was in a bad spot. And I did stupid crap in my 20s and broke the law. It was basically it's not sexy or anything like romantic about it, but I was selling things online that I didn't have.
Yeah.
So I was just basically, it's like, whatever, like wire fraud, however you want to look at it. It was January 23rd. I'll never forget. 1, 2, 3. Boom. 6 o'clock in the morning, right through my front door.
No way.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, the hardcore way, because they don't really know like what you're what you're capable of and stuff. Flash forward through all that. That process takes like 4 years. People don't realize from the time that you get like taken in and like whatever arrested or whatever, that whole process takes a long time.
Well, at least in the feds.
Yeah. Federal is like it was crazy, and that was the ultimate low. And excuse me, the weird thing that happened when that happened, and it's like still something that I have a really hard time getting over, and I talk to my wife about it a lot, and she's just always like, I'll screw everything. But when that happened to me, every friend, every family member except for my mother, opposite directions. Gone. Yeah. Okay. Part of me understands. It's easy to fear what you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like gone. No support. To this day, not one family member on either side asked me what happened. They never they just believed what they read or believed whatever it was.
Yeah.
Friends gone, I was going through that completely alone. So I met my wife now about 6-7 months before I got sentenced.
Yeah.
So of course I had to immediately come up front and talk to her about everything. So just like most good women, she was very thorough. She went through the whole case files. She went through everything, and she's just like, okay, you're an idiot, but I'm not going to go anywhere. Like we'll go through this together. To this day, when you ask her, I'm like, why, how the hell?
Yeah.
Like you or your mom and dad. I mean, how great of people are they to be like, you have a gorgeous daughter who could pretty much get anybody she wanted.
Yeah.
Sit here and sit with this goober that just got in trouble legally. She says things like, she tells me like she saw something in me.
Yeah.
Maybe it was stupidity or maybe it was empathy, but she believed in me.
Yeah.
She believed in me. So, and then I did my time.
How long did you get sentenced to?
So this is the thing that the part that you don't know. There was 2.
Oh, got it.
So like through the first case, I was told legally, like, don't just keep your mouth shut, don't say everything, because it wasn't a substantial amount of money in the sense of like what a normal federal. I mean, you're talking like 50 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you weren't talking like this massive
Yeah.
amount. And I kept my mouth shut, but there were still some other things like pending. And basically what happened is when I got sentenced a year and a day, when I got out, the day before I was about to be done, they took me to county. And I don't know if you've ever been in county, but that is hell on earth.
Yeah.
Okay. I was there for 7 months waiting just there while the second sentencing came in from the stuff that I was told not to talk about.
Wow.
So, and that is when, like, for those people that are listening that don't understand about county, you get every walk of life. They don't care what you did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They don't care what you did. They don't care who you are. You get no treatment.
Yeah, you're in there for wire fraud, and the guy next to you's in there for murder.
Yeah,
and the guy
you have no idea. I saw
pedophile.
some stuff that I'm telling you changed my life forever.
Yeah.
Like
what?
Oh man, just straight. Well, they set you when you get in, right? So if you're a chomo, if you're like child molester or something like that, you're gonna get your crap kicked in. I woke up in the middle of the night of guys just like
stabbing.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. And like all this, I mean, it's like white collar, dude. I've never seen anything like it. And man, you have to shut down. I didn't see trees or sun for 7 months because you don't get outdoor time in county, and you're just sitting there and you're just waiting and like, nothing. And in county, that second time was the last time that I spoke to my father. So when we were going back through all of that, my parents split up the same time that all this went down. So it was like, and then they were rightfully so selfishly trying to deal with their own lives. Yeah. And I get that. I'm not mad about that, but it's like, that's just like one less person that I had to be there for me. So I was like, like in a way I felt abandoned and
it's tough,
but I can't, what am I going to do? Go whine to my mom about my problems when she's got a million of her own at that time. Like that's, and then I find out everything else that went on. I mean, it was like perfect storm. It was like crazy. And I remember like calling my dad at that time. And he took his new girlfriend and moved to Texas. Like he was gone. And I remember I went to him and I was just like, listen, I'm just in a bad spot. Like I just, I know, blah, blah, blah. And the last words he said to me, and I will allow him to, is just like, how's that my problem? And then I just hung up. Wow. That was it. That was the last time that I spoke to him. Wow. The last time that I will. It's cool. Like I'm not mad. Yeah. At this point, I'm protecting my kids. Yeah. Right? Like I'm not mad. So then I got sentenced there. I went back to the camp for just a few months because I was in county for so long, and then that was it. But she stuck through me the whole time, and she. So what did you do? Total of like what? 2 years? About 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years total. Man, that's tough. No, I'm telling you, nothing's harder than county though. No, county's crazy. It's like because it's like you're in those triangle rooms. I know. And it's you're on a corner and then there's I've been there, and I've been to many counties actually. Not bragging, but actually, but I have. I've been a bunch. I got a plaque in a couple of them. But I mean, you gotta let people who know who you are within the first like hour. You have to, and then the rotation. Yeah, the amount of people that come in and come out and come in and come out. How do you keep to yourself? I know. Especially you spent more time there than I did. Every time I was in the county. When I tell people the people that know how that system works, I tell people I did 7 months there. They're like, how in God's name? The county's the worst. It's the worst. And there's no like in prison. There's like a government structure, you know, like it's pretty civilized. People don't realize like the respect to the peer-to-peer respect level is high. It's higher than in the street, 1,000%. People aren't just going to disrespect you for no reason in there. Well, and there's different things about county because nobody's going anywhere yet. Yeah. So also everybody is on guard because you might be some sort of snitch or you might be like, they throw someone in there to get some information. Yep. And then at the same time, it's like, people know that they're gonna be gone for a while, so I was there during the Ferguson riots. Oh wow! So they were bringing people from Ferguson in to where I was out in St. John. Yeah. Because they didn't want to bring them down to the city because there would have been more issues like in there. So they warned us. They were like, guys, it's gonna be crowded. Like, because they knew all this stuff was going to, and they bring him in, and those guys they were like coming in like they got out of a war.
They probably.
And I'm just like, I'm gonna go. I'm grab my book.
I'm gonna go myself.
Yeah. No cells. Those were open. That was open bays.
In the county. So all the counties I was in, I had cells.
Oh no,
but in prison,
bay.
I was in open bay.
Not open bay. I'm pooping and showering in front of everybody, man.
Wow.
7 months.
Yeah, that's rough.
That was it. That changed my life right there.
Yeah. So okay. So
she stuck with me, and so she came up every single weekend.
Wait, I had a question before we move on. So do you hang on to any like I don't want to say bitterness, because how you just described how you feel about your dad is very much how I feel about like that extended family. Because when I got locked up, same thing. Yeah. All my friends. Everybody,
just when you need them the most.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. All my family.
Wild.
Dude, I never got a single letter from anybody other than my mom, my dad.
I got one from
my aunt.
An aunt.
Yeah.
I got nothing from friends. Nobody even made an effort. My mom would come up all the time.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I got like from one aunt I did one time, and it's nice because they don't understand how much that means, man. When you got mail,
they don't know. They don't know. That letter,
it's the best.
It's almost better than a phone call.
Yeah,
when they bring that letter and you get to like physically,
they don't
like,
understand how much that means.
Man, it means so much in there. But what I was gonna ask is, so for me, I hold on to no bitterness or anything, but I also there's not a single shred of me that desires to reopen those doors. Yeah. Like for me, I'm like, no, like I understand what this relationship is. And it's cool. It's just not what we pretended it was for a long time. And it's totally fine. But like now my mom will, because I'm obviously doing better in life, right? She'll be like, oh, you should come see, this person, that person. And I'm like,
man, that's so weird you say. I'm so happy to like talk to someone that understands that. Yeah.
Talk to that person at all.
Yes. Like so at first, I'm glad you said this because my wife didn't understand for the longest time.
Yeah.
So with my father, it's like this. I'm 100% going to have regrets because the big heart in me always going to wonder if I could have a good relationship with him. But he's so let everybody down. At this point, it is not about me. It's about my kids.
Yeah.
So I say this to them all the time because if I let him in that realm and he started, like, I don't want to say that I know too much, but he's already disappointed so many like people. Since then also. Yeah. And during the past, I couldn't ever live with myself if I hurt my kids by allowing that to come in.
You
and I knew.
You know what to expect from this person.
Right now, they do not know that type of heartbreak.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow that happen.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a time, unfortunately, that he's going to leave this earth, and I will have regrets. I 100% will.
Yeah.
But because I want that, but I'm protecting them.
Yeah.
When it comes to the extended family, well, what's the look you get when you get out? That like, how are you?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good to see you.
How are you doing? Oh, I bet you're just trying really hard.
Like you could have freaking asked me 3 years ago.
Then now in my life, which things are substantially better. Like I am so blessed with the amount of success that I've had in my life.
Yeah.
When they come in, I'm cordial, but you're not allowed in that circle.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I will be kind, but you need to know that if you're not at my lows, you sure shit ain't going to be at my highs.
No.
Yeah.
I think that's it's lost on a lot of people, but especially I've been getting deeper and deeper into my faith and Christianity, and and there are people in my life who have wronged me, and they're saying, oh well, that's not very Christian of you to hang on to. There's a difference. You can forgive somebody without giving them access to your life again.
Yeah, that's what I try to like sell. Like
100%.
People need to understand is like. Just because your blood doesn't mean your family.
It doesn't mean your family.
Don't sit here and say.
And just because I don't want you around doesn't mean I haven't forgiven you. I do forgive you.
I forgive you. But I forgive all of them. I forgive my father.
You've shown me who you are, and I believe you now.
Yeah,
I just I believe you, and that's
right.
Yeah.
Just because I know how a gun works doesn't mean I'm going to point it at my face.
Yes.
Like and like that's it's so true though. It's like I'm not going to set myself up. It's like the punch at the door analogy I made up a long time ago. It's just like. If I keep on opening the door and you punch me in the face, and I open up the door again and you punch me in the face, I'm gonna stop opening up that door.
Yeah, I'm stopping.
And that's
that's exactly it.
That's exactly it. It's like I have nothing against you. You're just
Yeah.
You lost the privilege
And there's billions of other people out here.
Yeah, I'll introduce you to Jeff.
I'll get you a new friend.
If you want a new friend or something, like you can get Jeff over there. Like you lost that opportunity with me.
Yeah.
I don't owe you anything. You owe me nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's okay.
We're
we
good.
don't have to be like
we're
that.
good, and we're just gonna live separate from now on. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of people like, my wife has a huge heart. She's like, I have the ability, you can call it good or bad, to like just cut.
Same.
Yeah. I just if you wrong
and
me
people
or
will
waste
be like,
my time,
oh, they're family, and I'm like, no, they're not.
Where?
Well, yeah, exactly. No,
yeah.
Show me when they were family.
Yeah, where?
Like,
give me. Oh, because like we were just there, like when I didn't know better,
yeah,
and I was
because
like
of
pooping
proximity.
my pants. Yeah, I don't know. No,
Yeah.
I learned who you are, and that's great. Good for you.
Yeah.
You'll hang out with other like-minded people. You will think that you are happy. I will be.
Yeah.
Like we're good.
You will think, yeah.
you know, that's fine. No, we're good.
So okay, so you came home. Tell me the condition you came home to.
I was homeless.
Like the circumstances.
I was homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. And when I mean homeless, I don't want to insult my wife and her in-laws because they opened their home to me. But for me, that means homeless.
You didn't have a home.
I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I owe my credit score at that time. I didn't think they made numbers that low. And then and I didn't have anything to my name. I owed restitution, which of course I paid everything back that I took. Like everybody's paid back in whole. And I I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I had the clothes on my back, a girl that I was confused of why she loved me, and now in-laws that supported everything that I could ask for, and that gave me like a chance. And the turning point in my life actually has to do with my wife. She came up, like I said, she would visit me all the time, and she came up to a visitation, and like a federal, you get to sit next to each other and everything, and so we're talking, and she's just like, listen. And I don't think she meant, some of the best things that you ever say never really meant to be impactful at the time. Like, but she just said something so simple. She's like, you need to understand when you come home, like, don't F this up. You've got the ability to start over, second life from fresh. You've got a family that's waiting for you. You've got new friends that want to, and that's an uphill battle. We'll talk about that. But you got people that are excited to meet you. You have opportunity to possibly like get your life together and start your own thing. And she's like, don't mess this up though. Like, please don't mess this up. And like that resonated. Like I did. Like how many people can honestly in any moment in their life that they screw up could say, I actually have a second chance. Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. And when you get out, as well as I do, you got two options. You're going to work in the dirt or you're going to do your own thing. That's almost it.
That's it.
Because there's a lot of people.
Otherwise, you ain't going to make no money.
Yeah, you're not going to make the life you want. What kind of life do you want, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you come home, they don't tell you this, but you've got this proverbial sign on your face and on your back to everybody you haven't met, but just know that what you went through.
Yeah.
So like all of her friends already had this predisposition about me.
Yeah.
Like, and I had to like work my way up and how do you do that? Like with somebody you've never met, they don't know who you are in your core.
Yeah.
So everybody had already a conclusion.
They already
about
assumed.
me. Of course. Like, why is she with this guy? Like, what is going on? And I couldn't agree with him more. Like if I was out there, like who wouldn't think that?
You'd think the same thing.
So it's a difficult, people think jail is in jail, man. No, that whole time you're waiting to go in there is bad. That whole time you're in there is bad. And I would say a good 2 to 3 years afterwards is bad.
It's bad.
That is all it. And people don't understand.
I know.
They don't understand. And there's times where like, I don't use the word trigger because give me a break. But like there's times where I still think about it where it freaks me out a little bit. And I like still feel like I'm there.
Oh yeah.
And like people don't understand that.
I have dreams about it often, actually.
Oh yeah, you and I both. I'll hear the noises,
which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because you were. I think your mind's open.
Oh yeah.
What else you got to think about?
Yeah, I know. So okay, but since that was and we skipped an important detail.
Yeah,
that was when you were 30. You came home at how old?
Oh, 30.
30 years old. So like, not like you like I went 19 to 25. Like.
I went from 24 to 30.
You were a kid. Or you were a young adult, but 30 years old is not like necessarily young to start over.
Man,
that's late.
No.
That's late.
Scared.
And I don't know about you, but I am haunted by this like this feeling that I like lost 6 years
every day, man.
So I'm like, I'm 6 years behind everybody else. I can't
day.
stop. I can't slow down. I got to keep working because I'm already 6 years behind everybody.
That's why you got to stop the folic acid.
Yeah.
That's why you got to stop the, because like, no, really, like, because, no, I think about that every day. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so, but since you came home at 30 with absolutely nothing, and now you've built a couple, 6 or 7 figure businesses, 7, 8 figure businesses.
Yeah, I mean, with great people and great partners. It's not just me. I don't stand on a pedestal by any means. So yeah, I mean, the main business that I started, I was able to be a part of, I would say, was an opportunity that my father-in-law gave me, and
which is great. And this is fresh out of prison.
It's fresh out
of prison, and he's like comes to you and
he's just, well, that's a coin that he flipped. I would have taken just about anything,
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, a lot of people say, like, oh, everybody who's very successful has to go through hardships. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here like PSA, don't get in legal trouble to do well in life.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you learned a lot.
But you learned a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do feel like there are ways to back yourself in the corner, because I do feel like you need that.
You need it.
Like, whether you give everything up and go live in a basement and don't leave yourself out. Because I'm pretty sure, like, when I got home, if I was like, oh, okay, I have this great job set up for me, I'm good to go, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have any way back. So, with this business, like, for 4 years, I basically didn't do anything for 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
I gave my life to that company.
Yeah.
When other people were out partying and doing whatever, I had my head down, and I just was like, I owed it to the people that were there for me, first off.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I still do.
You didn't want to let your father-in-law, who gave you the opportunity, down.
Of course not. I still, like, that's always going to be here, because whether, no matter the success that I have right now with it or not, it's like, it should still be more, because anything I have from this day on is because of them. Right. So, I have great partners, and I built it in, with amazing help, I built it into this very successful business, and which led me into other, like, other businesses because of the success that I had with e-commerce, like with Rare Cuts, like with the meat company. That's a sad story how that got started.
Really?
Man, do you want to go down this road?
Yeah,
I
never heard it. I never heard this.
So, never in my wildest dreams that I think I was gonna be in like high-end Wagyu business. I had zero interest into getting in this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave some names out here because, well, they probably get whiff of this. Yeah. But so I had a friend that, after about 6 years with Vodaland, and things were going really well, like, came to me all the time for, like, e-commerce. Well, I don't want to say all the time, but there were several times that he came to me for the e-commerce, and we were at, what comes first, Labor Day or Memorial Day? I always forget.
Memorial Day.
Yeah. That's when the pool's open, right? Yeah. Okay. So they had like this Memorial Day party and stuff, and so they were like, hey, listen, he came up to me, he's like, Marty, listen, this guy that I know, again, I want to leave names out just out of respect, whether I respect him or not, because it's going to get ugly here in a second. Was like, hey, he got a hold of this friend of ours, distributor, and we're going to sell Wagyu, and here's how and you have to be a part of it. He's like, please, because, like, how to do the e-commerce, you have, like, success in this, and you get through that. At first I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't know anything about it. I'll just buy what you're selling. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want anything of it. So we're talking and talking and talking. He's like, please. He's like, I'll give up some of my shares just for you to do it, because and so I was like, let me take a look. So, like, 2 or 3 weeks went by, and so I contacted him. I was like, listen, let's go talk about this. Let me sit down. So we were out of town, and he tells me, like, all about these guys that he knows that are doing, like, huge on, like, Japanese Wagyu, Australian Wagyu, like, all this great meat and everything. And I'm like, okay. It's like, I see some holes in your plan. I was like, let's start working together, because if I do something, it's everything I've got, or
I'm giving it everything. Yeah.
And my main, like, Vodaland has my whole heart, like, and forever will. And so I was like, okay, so I go in there. the distribution deal that they had was bonkers. Like, because you had to buy inventory and everything was cut by them. They could tell you whatever weight, whatever is. And I didn't like the non-on approach. I signed an exclusivity with a Japanese vendor. And so I had an exclusive deal with him, which turned out to be like the best part of it. I rebranded because I didn't believe in the branding that they had. I didn't like it. I don't want to say it's terrible, but it wasn't something that I saw people touting. And I got 5 other vendors, like not just meat, but 2 of them were meat, but I had cast iron, blades of the week. I have great accessories all set up for them. And we were so I was like, okay, and throughout this whole process, which is the better part of 5 months, maybe 6 months, me and my friend, who is my friend for a better part of 8 years, Tamala's my wife's friend, like 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Was like going back and forth with me, and we're like doing this, and I'm like, hey, how about this for the logo? We're doing a lot of work together on that. So there was a wedding that we both went to where this other partner was coming in town. This is where it gets sticky. And he's like, listen, I talked to to this partner. You're in. Like, we're going to talk about this and this. So we go out to dinner with him and another partner, and we're like, hey, and I'm like, listen, I kind of want to be hands off, but 10%, I'm good. I want to be hands off. I'll invest. I want to give you everything I have, but I got to sit down with everybody and present everything that I've done, because I think you guys are going to be pretty impressed. So they're like, yeah, for sure. So there was a wedding here, and I talked to this other partner, and I looked him in the face. He had no idea what I was talking about.
Really?
Okay. So the past 5 months, I've spent thousands of dollars on market research, rebranding, signing contracts, doing all stuff, all based off of what my good friend was telling me. This guy was like, well, I know that you got talked to.
He knew nothing about it.
I could see on his face, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, well, I know they talked to you, but I don't really have anything against this like founding partner, because everything he told me was like incredibly spot on and honest. And he was like, well, we'll meet up. So we planned like this trip to Dallas and everything. Long story short, 11th hour, this other partner's like, hey, listen, I don't know what they told you, man, but we are not looking for anybody. And I was like, okay. Well, all right, that was through text message, like
really
very manly. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I call my friend and I'm like, hey, listen, like, what the hell's going on? I'm supposed to go to Dallas next week. I'm sitting here trying to book flights and they're not interested. I've spent time and money on this with you. Like, what's going on? He's like, well, he's kind of a weird guy. Like, I don't know. This is his thing. We're just kind of lucky. I'm like, dude, we've been working on this. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, listen, you like, we're in my mind at that point, we were done. Like, you just bent me over. Like, what do you want me to be? Like, we're cool now. I'll see you at the pool.
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, listen, you need to know, I've spent too much time and money. Like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to step on your toes. I'm not going to tout and go like crazy on it. Like, I'm doing this. Talk to the other partner. I was like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm ready to launch in 40 days. Like, I have that much going on.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Oh, they hadn't even launched yet.
They haven't even launched yet.
Wow.
And so I was just going to sit there and present them like silver platter. Here's everything I got.
Yeah. And I want 10%.
And
I
just want 10%. That's it. I'll sit back. I'll advise. Like, I feel like this is pretty,
fair.
This is a very fair deal. So, and a month goes by, like, I'm just about to launch, and the founding partner like messaged me. He's like,
the one that texts you?
He texts me again, and he's like, you're such a snake. I can't believe you came in and stole our business idea and did this, and this. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. First off, I told you and my friend, like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And I would give this to you, but I'm going to do this because I'm not like letting money dry.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, he told me that you slid in and you tried to steal our plan and our business plan and all. I'm like, dude, the last thing in the world that I wanted to do,
I wasn't even interested in meat.
Is to sell meat. Like, this is not something that I want to do. So anyway, long story short, I went into it hard, and we sold probably the top 3 out there. My exclusivity deal is probably one of the best financial investments I ever made.
Really?
The brand is still alive, and I have nothing to do with it.
It's called Rare Cuts?
Rare Cuts, yeah. And I have nothing, Rare Cuts Meat Company, and I have nothing to do with it anymore. But I mean, we got a real big slap in the face with people that my wife knew for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And then we find out like the stories that like Marty's all been out of shape that he didn't get. And
Man, there's so much drama
I
around
was like,
things like that.
I didn't even want to do this, I
but,
didn't need, like,
but now I put all this time in. I just feel like I have to.
Yeah, well, at that time when I got screwed over like that, listen, you're not going to bend me over and say, no, we're still cool though, right? No, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, we're done. So at that point, I wasn't screwing over anybody.
And now we're competitors.
And, well, yeah, but there wasn't really, from what I understand, there wasn't really much competition going
to
on
compete
there.
with.
Yeah, there wasn't really a lot going on. And that's, I wish them the best. I really do. And this goes back to what you were saying. Like, you're at a distance. I don't have anything against you, but you're not allowed back in here again. You burnt that bridge twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
so that, didn't you have another, did you have it? No, now you have a new one. So your main company though,
Votoland's
it's like a construction materials company.
Yeah, so we manufacture and distribute industrial, residential, trench drain systems, permeable pavers. It's not like it's incredibly important to the environment. We can go down a long list of that, but it's a company that honestly, my favorite thing about this company is the values, the people there, the heart that's in it, the employees that I have here in St. Louis are just the best in the world. We are really trying to reinvent the wheel when it comes to this industry. Yeah. There's so much in it. Like, our competitors do billions and billions,
I've never seen you interact with, I have seen you interact with your wife, but I've never seen you interact with your kids or your employees.
Yeah.
But the way that you talk about your kids, employees, and your wife, I just have to say I really admire it. It makes me want to like learn more from you in those areas.
I got taught that. You need to know. My business partner is my mentor. He's the guy who's climbed like almost every highest peak on the.
Got it. Yeah, you told me about
I went to him a couple of years ago, and I felt lost because I was reaching a point in my career with Votoland that this sounds like vain. It doesn't mean to. That nobody was really. I was surrounded by nobody at the level that I could talk to intellectually every day about where I wanted to take things. My business partner is like so far past all of that. And so I needed help. And like the strongest thing that you could ever do is ask for help. People think it's weak. It couldn't be more opposite. Yeah. So I went to him and I was like, listen, I don't, my father's, whatever, he's gone. And I need a mentor. Like, I genuinely do. I have to find this work-life balance and health balance. Yeah. I need to not lose my drive.
Because you had just been working
get burnt out
7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
How do I do this? And I mean, without saying it, I mean, my reaction to a lot of that is like, just stop whining. Like, golly, you're like, I'm complaining that I have a great family and at work.
Like,
and
do you want to do it or not?
How do I balance this? Yeah. No, it's like, no, like, people never really take an inventory of how much time they actually waste. Yeah. Like, you waste a lot of time in your day. Like, use it. Yeah. Use that time. But that's why I am the way I am, is because of my in-laws, my wife, and my mentor, and my kids. Like, just bring out the kid in me, so that's easy to do. Yeah.
No, but it's admirable, man. It's not. I mean, I don't know. It's still something that like you can give other people the credit, but like everybody has the same opportunity to put themselves in a position to learn from people who are good at those things, and like not everybody does it.
Everybody everybody, you're going to get an opportunity. Yeah. What are you going to do with it?
What are you going to do with it?
That's it.
Not only that, but it's just crazy to me, the people that like complain about like they want a certain life, but then like they like complain about working too much. And it's like, well, you don't have to work. No. But you just have to understand what that means. Like, you can work 40 hours a week at some job that you're not really invested in. You got no buy-in, no ownership in. But like, there is a trade-off. Like, you get what you're willing to pay for.
One of the stories I tell all the time, when I was starting with Votoland, I would get in at like 3 a.m. I would pack. Then I would work like 9 to like 5, and then from 5 to whatever I would pack. And like, I would pack these boxes, and I have this UPS driver, and this UPS. I talk about this guy all the time, but this UPS, all he would do is just bitch about the union and how terrible the things are and everything. And one day I just snapped at him. Like, just quit. Just shut up or quit.
Yeah.
Like, why? You don't have to do this. Is someone dragging you in every day? Do you have skid marks on your ass from the car that's bringing you into this job? It's like, just stop. If this is the only thing you can do, then that is where your limitation ends.
Yeah.
Don't blame anybody else but yourself. Oh, you're complaining about your unit. Leave your thing. Like, what are you doing? You know, like, it's just, you will not ever see sympathy in someone that, for me, when I see them in a position that they put themselves.
You elected.
You did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do not feel bad for myself for what I had to go through legally. I voluntarily jumped in that pond.
Mm-hmm.
Dumbest thing I ever had to do. Apparently, it was a necessity for myself.
Yeah.
But like,
same.
You know what I'm saying?
It was being in prison that gave me that perspective, though. Like,
Yeah.
I remember sitting there and realizing that the actual difference, because I don't know if you were in there long enough to have experienced this, but when you're in prison long enough, I don't know how else to say it other than, like, you eventually, there's a point where you kind of forget that you're in prison. Like, it's just like, it's just like the whole world.
That's almost the goal, isn't it?
You know, well, kind of,
like,
but
mentally,
it's very sad,
Yeah.
you know, when you get there, though. But, like, you know, like, you couldn't be more absent from civilization and society. Like, if you had died, like, you're just gone. You're on another planet, and
institutionalized.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so, you know, I stopped thinking about the outside. Like, and this was just a community that I lived in. And I remember, like, I've kind of shared this often, actually, but, like, there would be, like, little things that would remind me that I wasn't free. Like, when I would wake up early in the morning and it'd be nice out, and I'd just, like, want to, like, drink my coffee outside.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go outside because it wasn't time to go outside
Yeah.
yet. You know what I mean? Like, or I'd want to call my girl, and I couldn't call because the phones didn't turn on yet. You know, like, so
at 8 o'clock.
It'd just be little things like that would remind you that you're not free. And so, and I remember distinctly sitting on my bed and, you know, sort of acknowledging that, like, the difference between being in prison and being out is, like, when you in the real world, and I had never realized it until I went to prison, was like, you get to wake up every day and choose how you want to spend your day. Like, you could do anything you want. You can literally do anything you want. You can go to work. You can not go to work. You can, and, like, now I look at the people that you're talking about, and I'm like, how do you not see? But I know how they don't, because I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I didn't see it. I thought I woke up every day and I had to go to school. I didn't have to go to school, but I did.
Right.
You know, I thought I woke up every day and I had to go to work. I didn't have to go to work, but I did. And that is the perspective of a lot of people. Like, I have to go. I can't quit. I can't leave this relationship. I can't, you know, and it is a very narrow perspective, and I know how you can get locked into it, but, like, man, I live to remind people that, like, hey, you can. What I told Grace, Grace and I went through, like, a tumultuous period at one point, and it was because I felt like Grace was staying with me only because we had been together for a certain amount of time, right? And we had a really hard conversation, and I told her, like, every day I wake up and I choose every single aspect of my life. I choose what I'm working towards,
right.
Like my work. I choose to come to the coffee shop. I chose this path. I choose the people I hang out with, my friends. I choose them. There, and that's an ongoing. I regularly reassess. Is this person still good for me? Is this, and as soon as they're not, I choose to stop hanging out with them. Mm-hmm. Every day, I culminated in every day I wake up, I choose you again. I didn't just choose you when we started dating. I chose you this morning. Like, and I just want to know, you know, I want to feel like you're choosing me every day. And that was a conversation we had. But the point is, it was prison that did that to me.
It's a culmination of the fact that you don't have options.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when you're in there and you don't have options,
yeah.
you start hating that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start wondering if you're doing that just because you don't have options.
Just because you don't have options.
Right.
So I try to, I live to remind, I hope to give as many people as possible that perspective. Like, you get to choose, like, whether you think you did or not, you chose every single circumstance in your life. Like, you really did. And you can choose. And as soon as you acknowledge that, that's when you have an opportunity to choose a different circumstance. Right. Like, but until you acknowledge that, you're just a product of your circumstances.
It echoes in everything. stop getting mad at the friend that keeps on making you mad. That's your fault now.
That's your fault.
You know, like stop. No,
Yeah.
In reality,
Yeah.
it's like stop going. It's like saying like, why do you go to that restaurant you hate all the time?
I know.
And then complain about the food.
And then complain about the service.
You know what I
or
mean?
complain
Like
about
if
the
you
food.
are stuck, people are so. When I say people, I would just be like my visual of people right now is so twisted on self-reliance.
Mhm.
Like they don't think anything's their fault.
I know.
Who can I blame?
I know.
Man, if you're unhappy, that's on you.
Yeah.
You need to like really do a an inventory.
Yeah.
You know, because for example, like one thing I bring up a lot is like time.
Mhm.
Time is finite. Okay. I do not waste time. And I have two big pet peeves. One of them is if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it.
Mm.
It's a simple thing, but it's all the way down to like, hey, I'll grab something at the store. And if you just don't go just because you don't want to, that's disrespectful because I feel like, and we could talk about respect in prison, like how that's everything,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
It
but
is
it's like, and it's like, I guess it's a little bit of setup with that because I had friends who I don't talk to anymore that would just show up an hour late somewhere. And, you know, they would just be like, do they not pay attention to the 10 other people that respected you to get ready at that amount of time?
Yeah.
And you just like slap them in the face when you get there. Like if you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. Otherwise, like you're gone.
Yeah.
You get like, or if you don't do it, just be like, hey, I'm sorry. I totally forgot. Or
Mhm.
acknowledge the fact that you let someone down.
Yeah.
That's a big pet peeve of mine,
Yeah.
you know? And, you know, I don't like wasting my time on
Yeah.
that. I try my hardest in my life to not waste any time.
Yeah.
If I'm giving you time, whether I'm, you know, doing this like podcast or I'm on the phone with you helping you, because you know, one of the things that I said in group is when we were talking about a superpower and stuff is like my big one that I try to do is be useful to everybody I'm around, one way or another. My kids, my wife, my in-laws. I want to be useful to employees, to family, to my mentor. How can I better your situation? You find a lot more gratitude in that, and that's what makes me happy. So going back to like blaming other people, that crap's your fault, man. I don't want to hear that for 1 second that you're complaining about this friend that you just can't cut the umbilical.
Yeah. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. That's on you, and you got to take that responsibility, you know?
So last thing I want to ask about though is what your current, you know, I know you're still running the your main company, but you have a new project.
There's a new one that I'm investing in. Yeah.
Did you launch?
No. So Halo is going to be the vision around it that from the partners and other investors is we are going to be a lifestyle supplement company. Going back to like the health craze that we're talking about with food and stuff, it's just as bad in the supplement industry. You got DNA killers in there. You got different flavors. You got all of this
artificial flavors, all kinds of ingredients.
And people just don't read it. I'm not like really downing anybody. Some people do it really well. Some people don't. But our niche that we're trying to fit into is like our motto that, you know, we trademark now, so we're good, is like daily essentials with good intentions. Like we are going in this like to make people better. We're not like touting the muscle growth and you know, and I'm not downing that. We're not touting that. We're not touting like heavy testosterone replacement or like this heavy kind of stuff like that. We're more going towards like we're going to give you a multi that is going to be good for every aspect of your body. We're going to give you and we're going to kind of reinvent the multivitamin in a way. We're doing amino acids, which people really need to look into that. I won't go down that, but you really need to look into like amino acids. We're doing, you know, like a magnesium blend. We're doing colostrum, which is like massively important. So we're doing these things that are going to be really setting off a health craze. Now, the stuff's not going to be made to taste good. You can put it in whatever you want, but it's going to be what you need. Yeah. So, you know, this industry, and we're going to be chaining off different things too. I mean, not just supplements. There's going to be other aspects of Halo that we're really going to try to like, you know, kind of reinvent the wheel as much as I can. But I really believe in this because people are not taking care of themselves anymore. Dude. And it's in a sense of, okay, you know, there's so many like, and we'll be one of them, like health people on, you know, social that'll sit here and tout this, and this is why this is good, and that's why this is good. But we're really going to do extensive testing, which you need to know, or your listeners need to know, 90% of these people do not do.
Oh yeah, I know.
And well, yeah. You know,
Trust me, I know.
and it's like, you know, we are really going deep. So as far as launching, we're far away. If I ever come back here, maybe sometimes next year, that's when it will be
cool.
Be doing that. But Halo's going to be something special for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up just in case you were anywhere close to launching.
No, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot of like Japanese Wagyu to sell you right now. You know, I just don't have a lot of protein to hand to you. But like, no, it's gonna be a really great project, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. Yeah.
Dude, what do you think of the Omen community? You know what we got going on around here? Because I mean, I respect your
let's talk about that. That's actually you know, I'd like to think more people than the Omen community is just listening, right? And I've had coffee here, I've worked here, I've been part of the guild for a better part of a couple of months. I will say that it was relieving to see like thirsty people, right? And what I mean by that is like I get a lot of fluff, like where I'm at, a lot of people that all like that are, you know, really not really trying to do like better themselves. And right, we're talking about betterment of men or you know, of the community here. I believe, Mark, you're like pushing the right agenda. Okay, it's a brave thing that you do, and maybe you realize that or not, but it's very important that you need to know that it is a limited aspect of society right now trying to push an agenda that really takes it back to the roots of like what people need to be, in my belief, and I think yours also. How you came up with that might have just been second nature to you.
Yeah, I don't know.
But maybe, maybe.
Yeah.
But to actually megaphone that is tough.
It's tough.
You know, and we know you've gotten the heat on it, and you felt the temperature rise, and you get, I mean, that's to say like a little bit, but the community that you build here it's going to grow and people are going to hate it. And I love that. Yeah. You know, I think that's like the best way that I could put it.
That is awesome.
You know, it's like, it's going to grow. People are going to hate it.
And people are going to hate it.
But that's okay.
I know.
You know, and that's fine. But, you know, my overall response to this is like, man, the air's a little thinner in here. It's a little nicer. It's a little, you know, the environment that you're making in here is really good. And you don't bring any hate to it at all. No. Opinions are not hate. Just because you don't shove crap down my throat all day and make me be okay with something that maybe I'm not okay with. Yeah. You know, because that's what's missing out there. The world would be a lot easier if everybody just respect people's beliefs and not try to like shove it down their throat.
Amen. Yeah. Well, I'm really grateful. Well, I'm really grateful that that you're a part of it, for real. I'm super grateful that you're a part of the community. I'm super grateful that you started coming to the men's group. And I'm super grateful for your friendship, man.
Likewise.
Grace is, you were at my wedding, obviously. You know, we've been fast friends
for sure
so far. And maybe we'll get a cigar after this. But dude,
yeah, buddy.
Any last things? Is there anything that I missed that maybe you wanted to touch on?
I mean, you know, I don't get like philosophical here. I would just be like, No. If I had something to say, I'd say it.
I know.
No, I appreciate you asking me on here. You know, I hope there's a lot that people, you know, I don't know what they're going to get from my crazy ass stories.
No, I think they get a lot.
But it's just, I would just say, like, you know, just my biggest thing out there is, I think the world is the way that it is right now because nobody respects each other. And just to like touch on that just for a second is like, and I say this and I preach this big time, is like, everybody is allowed to believe whatever they want, but you don't have to share that value. Stop being pissed off because someone doesn't. Yeah. And if we did that, like I believe that we did back, it's just respect. Yeah. And like, just because like I don't like maybe someone doesn't share the same religious values that you and I do, I'm not gonna hit them on the head with a tack hammer because of it. And like and you're shoving things down people's throats, and people are like doing all this, like, so really anything like this is
back
kind
in
of
the day, like we were able to agree to disagree,
right? No,
and like still be friends.
A line has been drawn so deep in the sand that people are falling in that cave.
I know.
And like that's the thing, is like people can't even say what they want. People can't even say who they support. People can't say what they believe in. You can get canceled, man. Like legitimately canceled. Like your life could be threatened.
They could ruin your livelihood.
You know, like, and it's a scary thing. So my advice is shut up. and you know,
Yeah.
and in the sense of how you interpret other people.
Yeah.
Like you want to say your beliefs, fine. I might not believe the way you are, but that's okay. We don't have to bunk together, man. Like we're good.
We don't have to exactly.
You know, like we're okay.
And you know what? I think to say, dude, I love that, and I love that you brought it up because, you know, it's a lot of what I'm trying to propagate. I mean, people who don't know me and who've never talked about me don't think that that's what I'm trying to propagate, but that's exactly what I'm trying to propagate. Is I remember a time when it was okay to agree to disagree. I remember when you could be a Muslim and I could be a Christian, and we could disagree, but like still be friends, like not just be cordial. We could be friends, and then even if we weren't friends, we both live here. Like we're a part of the same community. What's in 99% of what's in your best interest is also in my best interest. If the crime in the neighborhood is out of control, you hate it just as much as I do. If taxes are out of control, you hate it just as much. So we're on the same team, even if you disagree with me. And
exactly right.
And it's crazy. I wish we could just remind people of that. You know,
the thing is I think people are in there. It's got to trickle down.
Yeah,
like you've got to have someone who comes out, and we don't have it right now. That, you know, what if like, you know, someone just came out and said, you know, I'm a, you know, pro-life Democrat. Game changer.
You know,
or vice versa.
Dude,
you know, like, could you imagine?
I know.
Could you imagine?
You don't have to. Not everybody. Nobody fits in this box. This is an imaginary box that literally nobody fits into.
The back of their heads would just explode.
I know.
They wouldn't even be. Like,
so you know what's powerful is, dude. He stood us up. For real. I have a customer at the coffee shop who is a member of the Communist Party here. He's as far left as you can get.
Really?
And he's highly intelligent. Yeah. He's getting his master's degree, he's getting his doctorate from WashU, and he's highly intelligent. But he said to me one morning,
political science.
No, it is something like that. But he said to me one morning, or no, it's like something social. But anyway, he said to me, the left. Two things he said to me were so interesting. One was, the right is out-lefting us on some things, and the left they don't even see it. And what he meant was, traditionally, the left was the anti-war side, and now it's all the Republicans saying, why are we over in Ukraine? Why are we over in Israel? We need to address the issues at home before we get involved in foreign affairs. And it's the left calling for more money to Palestine and more money to Ukraine. He's like, the left doesn't even see it. It's right
making the left rich. That's what people need to understand. It's like, we could go really down this because, of course, I've got like cards in the game here with family and everything.
Ukraine,
because they sell. This is just my opinion for anybody who listens to this. They sell the Ukrainian belief that, the Democrats are going to provide more money to make this happen. It should have never happened. Should have never happened. Crimea was also taken from Ukraine during the same type of.
During the Democratic administration.
Again, should have never happened. They're funding themselves.
I know. But he said that. He said, this is the first time I've ever heard anybody on the left admit anything, right? Like that's anti-left. He said the right is outflanking us on our own traditional values, right? And then he also said there's about 4 things that we got wrong, and we need to just come out and admit it. And I was like, what?
I'm interested.
And he said, I can't remember all 4, but he told me one of them, the first thing he said was, biological men do not belong in the locker rooms, bathrooms, or in sports with women. It's just wrong. He said, I watched the Olympics. I don't,
That's crazy, man.
And he said, it's just wrong. Everybody can see that it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's wrong. And they were all social things, but I said to him, will you come on my podcast?
Yeah.
Because I think he stood us up, and truly I understand why. I think he thought he was walking into like a trap, but truly I just wanted to.
Those are the best people.
He doesn't know my heart. But I just wanted to have that conversation with somebody who is openly a communist. You know what I mean? And he's like, fiscally, he's very communist. He believes in redistribution of wealth and all this stuff, and he's very smart, so he can explain why he thinks that. And so I didn't really want to give him a platform to do that, but it was worth it for me to just bring people together, and him. He was going to be that person and be like, I'm a communist, but I don't believe in this. One of the ones he said was kids in. He said the public school system. The kids do not need to be learning about. We need to just come out and correct that. Yeah. Why are we pushing this gender ideology in kindergarten? He came out, and he's highly intelligent. He studies this stuff, so he can explain. He traced it back to like some of the stuff we teach about race and the ramifications it had over the decades. He's like, I can see that the same thing is going to happen right now with gender in our society. It's going to be catastrophic. And he's like, so he's like, we just need to come.
They're going to be able to sell that?
Man,
I don't think they could sell
they're
that.
Already,
That's a ketchup
popsicle,
they're
already doing it.
I know, but it's not selling. People are leaving public schools. I got teachers coming working for me.
And people are doing homeschool. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
No, it's not working because, like, dude, it's the minority megaphone.
But to your point, I do agree with you. We just need somebody who's loud. Well, Joe Rogan is starting. Joe Rogan was a Democrat.
Boulders.
He was a Democrat forever, and then all of a sudden he's just like, I can't get down with it anymore. I can't. Yeah,
it's crazy.
And it's not Democrat Republican either. I hate when, like, if somebody hears that I'm pro-life, right? They say, "Oh, well, you're a conservative." Well, like, I mean, it depends on what you ask me about.
Yeah.
Because there's a we should deal with people on a topic by topic basis. Yeah. Like, I can be pro-life and also pro-gay marriage. I could, and that makes me a right and a left.
That's the weird thing about politics that I don't understand, and that's when people need to start understanding the economics that are in politics.
I know.
The lobbyists, the money.
I know.
It's like, what do presidents make $1 a year? But homeboy's got like 4 $20 million mansions or something crazy like that.
I know.
Like, come on, you guys.
I mean, we were talking earlier today about why I like Trump, and I'm like, I just refuse to believe that he, like, the person in the position that he was in, 75 years old, doesn't need anything. Yeah. He's not doing this for himself. You know what I mean? I feel like there's no matter what you think of his personality, he didn't have to do this. Like, think about all the stuff he went through over the past 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, you could say. Think about all the stuff he went through. And he could be living a life that you can't even imagine how good it is.
Yeah.
He could be living a life. Somebody
this.
tried to assassinate him, and he's continuing down that path.
Outside 2 days ago.
He could have a life that's better than what you literally could imagine. And so, like, for me, you're right. Like, when I see Nancy Pelosi, who gets paid $200,000 a year, but has a net worth of $100 million. How?
Yeah.
Do the math.
That's what nobody asks the right questions.
Do the math.
It's so like wild to me.
For no other reason. Like, that could be the only reason why
I'd rather have a
Trump.
Self-made billionaire come in there
1,000%
than someone who's been ripping us off under the covers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But anyway, so I appreciate that, man.
We could have a part 2 one day. I mean, we could really go.
Well, I really, today was not it wasn't one of those. We do have those conversations, but I really wanted people to get to know you. Part of why we do this podcast is, I don't know if you know this, but I have a large network of people who I think could be great guests on podcasts, but I only ask people who are a part of our community here at Omen.
Okay.
Because I love the idea of promoting your community from within. And I think that's like I have this romantic idea of what communities ought to be like. And I'm really trying to build that.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
No, you're doing a really job to steady the course for sure, because I think what, we'll chime this a little bit. What people will see that's going to come out of Omen over the next year and the guild and stuff.
They have no idea.
We'll just,
I know, it's gonna be great.
Put a pin in that. No,
dude,
it's
have you seen the Bible study?
Huh? I couldn't. Yeah, no. I did. All it was like, it looked like one of those AI Kamala Harris.
Well, there was
like
packed people.
Well, I didn't know 4 million people was at that tarmac.
I know. Yeah. No, we had standing room only. I'm running out of space. I don't know how to contain it. I have,
You do it once a week.
Once every other week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to space it.
So once every other week, and we had just under 200 people show up to the last Bible study. I mean,
I'm calling fire code on you.
Call the fire department.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. No, I think that's fantastic.
Dude, I mean,
people
it's
need
just
to do that for sure. Yeah,
brick by brick, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
But cool. Thank you, man. And guys,
we'll
we'll talk to you next time.